Welcome back to the Breaker Bros, and we're going to instantly react to the 34-20 loss to the Ravens. I mean, it sucks. There's really not much to
They
say
suck.
about
The
it.
players on that team suck.
But in terms of the feeling, it sucks. But I mean, overall, I saw some good things. Obviously, it sucks to see that Joe Burrow got hurt, and it seems like he could be out for a while. I felt like, based off of what I could see, I'm not necessarily sure what they said on the broadcast, but it sounded like he said something popped, and then from that point, yeah, he couldn't really grip the ball. And then I saw at the end of the game, he basically was talking to Patrick Queen, and I think he said he's got to see what the MRI says, basically, to have any type of conclusion. But I don't know. They say it's a wrist injury, but it seems like more of like an elbow injury. But I mean, I'm not sure what could pop in the wrist. I guess there's ligaments in there or whatever, but
all kinds of stuff, I'd imagine.
But I mean, surprisingly, I thought Jake Browning, I think that's his name, right? I thought he looked pretty decent. I thought it was a moral victory that we got a touchdown with him towards the end of the game.
I guess, man.
I mean, I think we can win a few games with him. I really do. I mean, I'm not saying that's ideal. Huh?
I said, who cares?
Well, he might be a decent backup.
I know, but I mean, at this point, you'd rather lose.
Yeah, I mean, if Burrow's going to be out for a while, which could be a possibility, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm not really familiar with wrist injuries or stuff to that extent. Because, I mean, the only other time I can remember something similar to this where, like, the quarterback couldn't really grip the ball is, like, something similar happened to Andy Dalton. He got knocked out of the game, and he hit something to the point where, like,
he broke his thumb, though, right?
He didn't break his thumb.
Okay. There was one time where he broke his thumb.
Well, then I think that ended his season. But no, the time I'm talking about was his like rookie year, and I think it was literally the first game. And like he played the first half, and then something happened to where like he hit his hand on a helmet or something, and like he just couldn't grip the ball the rest of the day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're in a much better mood than I am. I just like. I just hate Thursday night football. There's no other way to say it. It's just garbage football. Guys get hurt, because there's not enough rest between games. So every team plays on Thursday night loses a few good players, and then of course we lost Burrow, which makes it even worse. But just in general, it's bad football. The refs were, I mean, it was just like
They must have got paid good.
just terrible. I'm not saying that because we lost, and I'm not saying that they caused either team to get an advantage, because like it was just so crap of a job of officiating that you can't really say who got an advantage, because the Ravens had a touchdown called back on, I don't know what, they threw a flag for holding, but okay, there's no holding. And then it seemed like after that, every time Lamar threw a bad pass, they called pass interference on nothing. It's almost like the refs are like just anticipating things as penalties if it doesn't look like they expect, instead of just throwing flags when they see an actual penalty committed. It's just like they're just throwing flags to throw flags,
Yeah, I thought there was two questionable like passer interferences or maybe holding calls that they called on the Bengals. It just seemed.
Well, that's what I mean. It was both ways. I mean, but the touchdown that Zay Flowers scored, right? They called holding on Beckham. It was like there wasn't holding on that. He just blocked the guy. That's not holding. I mean, it's just the rest were just top form. It's just I hate Thursday night football. It's the worst. Like I don't want to watch football on Thursday night. You know, I just that's the beauty of football. That's what makes football better than baseball. It's like baseball is just like this slog where there's like a game every single day, right? And then football has like this nice kind of break to it, right? If you watch college football, it's like Saturday. You play on Saturday, and then nothing happens, and then you anticipate, build up, then you got another game Saturday, right? Like in the NFL, it used to be like Sunday and then occasionally Monday, and then you know when college football stops, they started on Saturday. But like these Thursday night games are just they're just bad, and it never. I mean, it just so many dudes get hurt on Thursday night football.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
Logan Wilson
you
hurt
need the
3 people
rest.
today.
You need rest. Oh, and by the way, like Herbstreit needs to stop with the Logan Wilson's hip checking people and hurting people. It's like it's
Oh, did he say
garbage.
something about that?
Yeah, I mean, in
All of his
addition to the
tackles look pretty
officiating,
good to me. Like, I
in
mean,
addition to the officiating sucking and people getting hurt sucking, like the announcing crew on Thursday Night Football is just trash. Kirk Herbstreit doesn't know anything about NFL, and then they pick up on these storylines and they just nonstop talking about stuff that nobody gives a crap about, you know? And then on top of that, like Al Michaels should have retired like 10 years ago. It's just like you listen to
well,
him.
why would he? I mean, if they're
I
willing to
know.
pay him money, why would you
Yeah, I
retire?
mean, yeah, he's
Doesn't he
cashing
get
those
steak
checks, but I
dinners
mean,
between halftime or something? Like he's got like a
he,
really sweet
if you
deal.
if you if you listen to the game, it sounds like he's eating steak while he's talking. Like he's like barely able to enunciate things, and like every single incomplete pass he thought was a catch. It- every single one, like the ball would be rolling on the ground, and he'd be
This
like,
is why
"Oh,
I
well,
don't listen to the broadcast. It's so much better
looks
on
like he
mute.
hauled that in. For some reason, the refs are calling it incomplete." It's like, yeah, they're calling it incomplete because the ball bounced on the ground, like it was LeBron James out there dribbling a basketball. It's just like that's not a catch. It's like, oh, there's another. It's just like painful what the NFL subjects you to. And then on top of all that, right, the perfect timing, right? Burrow gets hurt right before we go to a game, and you shell out all that money, and it's
Dollar,
like
dollar bills,
all
y'all.
these players getting hurt because they're not getting enough rest, and then you go on an actual Sunday and you get a shit product on top of the fact that you had to suffer through a Thursday game.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are going to happen. It's the NFL. I don't know if it's the shorter week, but because like if you think about the Baltimore injuries, like that was just because like I like to me just again with no like bias and just watching it without any sound, they just look like good tackles to me. Like they're just hard tackles.
Well, guys get hurt because they're not rested because they're probably still nursing injuries. It's like
Yeah, but on the flip side,
you
you
play
get
football your
10
entire
days of
life and you
rest.
get like well, yeah, that's great for the guys that made it through the week, but for all the dudes that are out now because they didn't get enough rest between their last game and this game, so what?
But I mean, I'm not necessarily against what you're saying. Like I don't think Thursday night football really adds to the NFL experience. Like
No, it doesn't
I
add
do
to
like the Saturday games or like the 9 a.m. games, like the real early games in Europe or whatever. I don't
I mean,
mind those.
that's debatable, but at least you
It's
have like
nice
the
watching
full
football at the
at least you
beginning.
have the full at least you have the full rest, you know?
Yeah. Well, I that's
But
why I feel like Monday night is kind of overrated too.
yeah.
But again, I mean, with Browning coming in, it seemed like they were moving the ball, and then had Irwin actually held on to that catch, I think the game would have been much closer towards the end because he catches that ball, then we at least get a field goal, possibly a touchdown. But since he dropped it, we punt it, and then they score a touchdown before the end of the half, basically. So, like, to me, that was like a big swing. But overall, I thought Browning, like, he gives me confidence in that they could actually win a few games if they need to. Like, say if Burrow is going to miss a little time, Like he could be a nice little backup until you need him. But I mean, of course, I'm with you. If Burrow's gone for the rest of the season, then it's kind of like,
Well, if Burrow's gone for any period of the season, the Bengals are out of playoff contention.
well, I mean, if he misses more than like 2 or 3 games, then yeah, it's gonna be really rough. But I mean, if it's just like a game or two, then I
Yeah.
think they can get by. I mean, it's gonna be close. I mean, winning the division's pretty much out of the question. It's gonna have to be a wild card spot. So
Yeah. I don't know. I've always thought that the Bengals must have like the worst doctors in the NFL. And it's just like, if Burrow's hurt, why do they keep rolling him out there to get hurt even more? You
yeah,
know,
but
like with
he
the calf
didn't
at
get
the beginning
hurt
of the
because he
year.
got tackled. He got hurt because he threw a pass.
Yeah, but you saw the whole wearing like the bowling thing, like the whole wrist guard thing on the plane. And then it's like he hurt the same hand when he got tackled.
I thought
It's just like if
that
he's
was like
hurt,
something for like an iPad for like.
yeah,
I
I
didn't
don't
think it
know.
was
It
like an
looked like
actual
one of those
wrist.
looked like one of those like orthopedic things that you wear when you get carpal tunnel from using a mouse.
That's like either what a pool player would wear. I don't know, because
Yeah.
like he had a few. It's actually the opposite of maybe what a pool player would wear. And actually, I've seen pictures of like if you do like the iPad with a stylist. Apparently, you wear that type of glove. To me, it didn't look like some type of wrist support. Like normally, the wrist support thing is like cuffed at the hand. Your fingers are free. Like there'd
That's
be
what it
no.
looked like to me. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like a carpal tunnel bracelet or you know, wrist protector thing.
Hmm.
I don't know. Either way, it's just like he takes too many hits. And I think some of that's on him because I think like he doesn't like to take like 5 yards. Like he wants, you know, to make the big play every time. And I think like because of that, he takes some hits they shouldn't be taking. I think that the Bengals don't run it enough. So he takes unnecessary punishment wherein, you know, the offensive line needs to get out there and hit somebody, which I think they did a good job of in the first half. I mean, like the second quarter
I thought
was
overall running they
going
were doing pretty good.
like the second quarter to me though was like this is how the Bengals should play all the time. And then of course like Burrow got hurt. It was
Right.
all over. But I mean, like that's how they should play. Run it,
Well,
throw some screens,
if they
get some
know
5
Browning's
yard
going to start
passes.
this next game or two or whatever, which I still
Mhm.
think Burrow could be back within 10 days. If it's,
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Depends on how bad he hurt. He's hurt.
Yeah, the only thing that really scares me is that I'm pretty sure he said he heard something pop.
The thing that
But
really scares me is that we're going to the stupid game and we're gonna have to watch Jake Browning get his boobs ripped off by the Steelers.
yeah, I mean that would kind of suck. But
Yeah. I wonder what Ryan Finley's doing right now.
what do you mean? We have what's his face? He's on the practice squad. He just came from the XFL. He was our backup quarterback for
TJ, who's your mama?
AJ McCarron.
Yeah. Yeah. Why?
Actually,
I don't know
I
why
don't
he's
think
not their
Browning
backup.
looked that bad. I think Browning, like, if you're going into a game with him, like, you would, I think, definitely lean onto the run a little bit more. Like, I think that would be one of the benefits is that they could actually establish something with the run game.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I wish I could be as optimistic as you. I'm just like, I couldn't even watch it anymore. I had to turn
Yeah, it
that
was
off.
rough. It was rough. No, it was because like when I was watching everything kind of progress, because like we got the touchdown, we went up 10-7, and it felt pretty good. I was like, okay, I feel pretty good because it felt like at that point some things didn't go our way, but it felt like we were winning more often, and it just felt like it was inevitable that we're gonna score. We finally scored, and then they kind of played back to the play, and you could see him get hurt. I'm like, oh crap! And then he's on the sidelines, and you can see where you just can't grip the ball. The only thing
Yeah.
is, I feel like if it was like super serious, then I just don't think he would have been back out on the sideline. Or like there would have been
Why?
a lot more pain. Because like if it's something serious, then you basically just start that process right away. Like
I don't know, man. I immediately spiral. I'm just like, man, why does like the worst franchise in the NFL have to be in Cincinnati? You know, it's just like we probably have the worst doctors, worst plan. They're rolling guys out there that are hurt. What are they doing, right? Who was that? Who was 12? I never even heard of that guy. What was his name? Cedric
Jackson, I think,
Jackson?
yeah, because he was on the practice squad. He's the receiver.
Well, I know he's a receiver. I'm just like, why is he out there?
Because Yosavash is hurt.
Well, what about Charlie Jones?
He's out there too.
No, he wasn't. He was just out there returning kicks.
Yeah, but that Cedric Jackson, I think he's like the fastest receiver. I think technically it's either him or Chase, but he's really fast actually.
Okay, well, if he's fast, then I'm all for it. Of course, now we got a guy that can't throw it far, so
Well, yeah. I mean,
have to run some
I feel like
screen.
the thing with Browning and Burrow, what they have very similar is that they know how to put like really good touch on the ball. Like they may not have like the strongest arm, but I feel like they have like a purpose when they throw the ball. Like they know where to put it in terms of position, and then they just don't throw like hard passes all the time, which makes a big difference. Because some quarterbacks, they just don't know how to put touch on the ball. Surprisingly, but it's actually an issue for some quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Feels like the season's over for sure.
I feel like it's too early for that, but
I
I
feel like it's
think
time to start doing some draft prep.
nah, I think it's too early for that. I think it's way too early for that. I think they still have a really strong chance at least getting a wild card spot. It just sucks because it's like
There's no way, dude. They are out of it. It's over. I just don't. There's no way.
no, there's definitely a way, but I mean
I mean,
it's
they've got
looking
3
rough right
teams ahead
now.
of them.
But there's still so
Looking
many unknowns.
bad.
Best case
I
scenario
know
is
enough.
that everyone that we thought was going to be out for a while is going to be back next week, right?
Okay.
I think it's like a 50-50 chance that Burrow's going to be back. I don't know. I'm not familiar with what exactly is going on, but I feel like having that 10 days is going to be huge. I don't know. But then the other half, I feel like if he's not back within a short period of time, then it is pretty significant. And it's like,
I mean, to me, it's just like you can't rush him back.
no, not necessarily. But I like the thing in the back of my head, I think, like, well, if we're like top half of the draft, like top 15 picks, and then that's more likely we can get that tight end from Georgia. Like, maybe. But at the same time, it's like if you could make the playoffs and you just don't. Because once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. It's just it's a matter of just getting there and just making sure that you're relatively healthy.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, the season has been like Burrow playing when he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah,
He
and
shouldn't.
that's the thing.
Like
What I was
looking back
watching is
on
like,
it, like seeing how bad he was at the beginning of the season, they shouldn't have played him.
right, and then just watching how decent Browning looks, it's like, yeah, I think we could have won a few games with the way he was playing. Like they would have been a lot more
Well, but that's the
competitive.
thing, though. They lost the games anyway. So what's the difference?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like the difference is like, well, you're basically admitting if you play Browning that you have no shot. But it seems like he's like a similar type quarterback as Burrow. He's just not as dynamic, but he can scramble a little bit. He had a decent little scramble there. I think he ran for a first down, but there was this one where
Yeah,
like
I didn't see that part. Well, I mean, I didn't intentionally not watch it. For some reason, my YouTube TV wouldn't turn on in my basement, so I just said I don't need to see it.
so you just stopped watching the game completely.
Well, I turned on the GameCast stat thing, but
Yeah,
so I
no.
watched up until like a little bit into the fourth quarter, and then I went downstairs to get online. And I tried to turn on my TV, and it wouldn't turn on. So
Yeah, I don't know. It's a rough one, but it's also like if somehow we can see the Ravens in the playoffs, I wouldn't mind playing them again in the playoffs with an actual healthy team. Healthy meaning like we actually have Burrow for the full game. I would like to see that
why?
because I think we could beat them. I think if Burrow didn't get hurt the way he did, I think the game would have been a lot different.
I don't know. I mean, the Bengals barely beat the Ravens last year, and they were playing Huntley.
I think part of it is that their defense. I think their team in general is always kind of like overlooked because it's like people have that syndrome where if you're a star quarterback, if you have a really dynamic quarterback and he doesn't play, you just think they're not going to do anything. But the Ravens have proven that they can win without Lamar Jackson, and part of it's because they've always had a really good run game. Like they just,
Well, they have a good defense.
well, that's what I'm saying. They always have an underrated defense that no one really ever talks about because they don't normally talk about the Steelers, and this year it's like it's all about the Steelers and the Browns.
Hmm.
But yeah, I feel like they get an overlooked defense. Well, no, I think they're starting to talk about like how many sacks they have and stuff like that because they do create a lot of pressure. But yeah, they're built to not necessarily have to having that normal pocket passing quarterback. You know, like I think over the years the league has just kind of like transitioned into like if you're gonna have a Super Bowl caliber team, then you have to have a quarterback that can at least pass in the pocket. Basically, throw up a lot of passing yards.
Hmm.
Seems that way. I mean, it doesn't necessarily always end up like that, but that traditionally seems to be
Yeah.
the way to do it. But I don't know. I feel like the game would have been a lot different had Burrow stayed
Well,
in.
of course, it would have been different.
Because even at that point, the defense, I think, caused like 3 punts in a row. Like they were really starting to stalemate the Ravens. And then to me, I think that really the big momentum shift was again when Irwin had that pass overturned. They get the ball back and they basically score like 30 or 15 seconds left in the half. Something crazy
Mhm.
like that. Had that not happened and we actually say we at least get that field goal, it would have been 14-13 going into the half. And that would have been a completely different game.
Yeah, I just don't think so. I just not with Browning. I don't think that he was enough of a threat for it to be an issue
He
in
didn't,
terms of the
to
game.
me, he didn't look that bad. Like I
Well, yeah,
thought,
and the garbage time at the end, but that doesn't count.
I think it counts because it wasn't like they were just like, oh, well, let's just let him score. I think they were trying to like, I think ever since the Bengals really beat the Ravens like a few years ago, and we like Burrow had like over 500 yards or whatever.
Hmm.
I think the Ravens kind of took that personally, so I think they don't mind running up the score because like I thought it was kind of interesting that they scored the touchdown at the end of the game like they did when they normally could have just like ran it out, ran the timeout. But I think they were just trying to put up points. But then we came back and
Yeah.
scored right after that. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I could see them playing kind of soft just to give us yards, but I don't think they really wanted us to score a touchdown there. Like, I think
but
they legitimately tried to help
that's
us
just
out.
how the end of the blowout is. Like if the other team moves the ball, you can't put much stock into it. I just
But he was moving the ball even before that time.
hey man,
It wasn't consistently, but I don't know.
I wish I could buy in, but I mean,
I
we'll
I,
see.
I don't want to have to buy in, but
Yeah.
like I feel like he can. I think he can win a game or two. I really do. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but he didn't look as bad as what I thought it would. But at the same time, like,
yes, man, he didn't look
I
as
think a
bad
week
as
and a
I
half
thought it
is a
could,
long
but,
time, and
mean,
I think that might be enough time to whatever needs to heal that needs to heal to grip the ball.
I
I
just
don't see
think
how it's a wrist
I mean,
injury. I see it
the
more as like
Bengals
a
have like conducted serious malpractice in how they've managed Burrow's career. They put him for the first 3 years of his career behind, like, first 2 years of his career behind, like, one of the worst offensive lines the Bengals have ever had. And then they finally addressed it last year and got, like, you know, some actual players. But then, they still put in Volson. Like, like, I hate that they have a project at guard when you have an elite quarterback. It just seems utterly stupid, you know? Um, and then they played him at the beginning of the season when they shouldn't have. Like, definitely looking back, he was not ready to play. They should have just let him miss the first week or two and then get him back healthy instead of putting him out there to just be a sitting duck and just get beat up. And then they, I mean, we don't know enough to say that he shouldn't have played today, but I they they shouldn't rush him back. I mean, he's the franchise. I mean,
yeah, but I think
the
it's also
season.
like if he says he's ready to play, I think you're just gonna let him play.
No,
No?
no, if he's not healthy, you can't play him.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't let the player decide if he's going to play or not, because most guys will play when they shouldn't play.
I don't know. I feel like if he's able to grip a ball, then he should play. Like,
I don't think so, man. He shouldn't play until he's healthy.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think we'll get anything concrete until they actually have to practice. And that won't be until like next Wednesday. I don't know. It's gonna be rough.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
I think we said enough about this dumpster fire.
All right. Well, have a good night.
All right, man.
All right.
Later.
See you.